Venezuelans love internationals but hate each other. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
There is a saying here in Venezuela that the worst enemy of a Venezuelan is another Venezuelan. And I have to agree with that particular remark. And let me explain. First, if you're watching this and you are an international, you're going to be cool. Venezuelans are very cool people, actually. I say it. And you're going to figure out why. And actually, they are very easygoing. And also, they are very assertive. And they're very good actually doing networking. And they don't know that. The average Venezuelan doesn't know that. But they are very good networkers. They don't know. It's very uncommon on the rest of the world to find people on that particular regard about networking, that kind of stuff, people that are good. Actually, this is a funny thing. There is this particular, positive guru that we have in Venezuela. His name is Michael Melamed. He's kind of like the Venezuelan version of Tony Robbins. But the difference between Tony Robbins and Michael is that Tony Robbins is a tall and very, very good looking man and also very smart. I mean, nothing against Tony Robbins. But Michael is first, he's handicapped, so has limited mobility, and also his speech is very hindered by he has a particular medical condition that I don't know nothing about. But he is a very inspirational guy. Actually, with his particular medical condition, he ran a marathon on New York, the Marathon of New York. He completed the marathon, something that many people, healthy people, cannot do, and he did it. So I mean, he's kind of a mindset, positive coach. So if you like Tony Robbins, you're going to love Michael Melamed. And I was listening to one of his particular, an interview with him. And he was mentioning that many people all over the world, especially in Western nations, pay for coaching and they go to conference and that kind of stuff in order to achieve what the average Venezuelan have regarding networking levels. So the Venezuelans are very good regarding dealing with people and networking and kind of stuff. Sometimes they take it too far, and that's why there are some, typical minor issues and frictions with some other citizens all over the world when they are on a third country. However, an issue that Venezuelans have is that they hate each other. And I mean, when I say hate, it's just, a buzzword. It's not like we hate each other. Actually, we get along pretty much fine. We are very friendly amongst each other. We can just start conversations with random people. Something that has diminished a lot on the past 10 years or so, maybe also for things like social media and that kind of stuff. But the issue about Venezuelans, they are very particular, is that they're cool people, but at the same time, they like to pursue status a lot. I mentioned that status is very important in Venezuela, but it's not just about money, it's something else that is difficult to explain, just put it on words, but you have to leave it by yourself. And some Westerns, when they put the boots on the ground approach, they figure out quickly. The issue about Venezuelans is that they are very aspirational. They are not conformist people. I have to say, I thought that they were, but they are not. They are conformist people. Now, the issue, for instance, I'm going to mention my particular issue that I have with average Venezuelans. Is that they are very aspirational and very good. And they like to show off as much status as they can. And I'm not talking about rich people or middle class people. Every Venezuelan is like that. For instance, people that work and live on a slum, on a lower middle class neighborhood, let's say, they have something that they like to show off. I mean, it's not like they have to show, the Gucci or a Rolex or a Lambo, anything. No. On these particular places, what is, let's say, this lower middle class sphere, for instance, eating a place on the street, just a typical, let's say, fast food joint on that particular place and having a beer or something like that, that shows status on a particular, lower middle class thing. I was discussing this particular case with a friend, a Venezuelan friend, and we're laughing because of that. And on the middle class, let's say wearing a particular outfit or listening to a particular artist or driving a particular car, depending, could be a used Toyota, and that's status here in the country, depending, of course, on the niche. So Venezuelans pursue this a lot. Meanwhile, I would say most, not all, but most of the average Latinos are more modest. That you can say is a good thing. That's up to you. But Venezuelans are not like that. They like to show up a lot. For instance, in my particular case, I have an issue with the average Venezuelan. Is because I'm more frugal. I am low profile, very introvert. I don't like, for instance, I don't like to spend money on a nightclub or anything like that. I used to own a nightclub. I like to show off a lot. And for instance, I don't like to do so. I mean, if I go to a nice place, it's because I like to eat on that particular place, not because I want to show off that I'm going to a particular fancy place. And actually, I don't even post on social media, that kind of thing. I mean, most of my posts is just this kind of content. And I don't, let's say, I'm not cool for the average Venezuelan because I don't provide, I mean, that's not my cup of tea, in showing off what I eat or what I dress or something like that. Or if I go to a concert or something of that nature, I just do it without pictures. I have my experience and that's it. Well, and the biggest issue that I have is with this particular pursuit of status by random actions, taking pictures of food or a particular clothes or buying a particular car. I drive a beat up car, by the way. I don't have a fancy car. But Venezuelans go out of their way in order to pursue, let's say, buy a nice car, I mean, for a Venezuelan standard, and disregarding their financial situation. I don't do that. I prefer driving an old car, a crappy car. Anyways, but the biggest thing, this is the real issue that I have usually with Venezuelans when we have feuds and discussions. Like I don't have this issue with internationals, never had it, but with Venezuelans I have it a lot. Is regarding that Venezuelans like to pursue status. Very good. I mean, that's cool for me. Now, the issue is at the same time, they want to act as the average. So they want to fit in, same time they want to stand out. And I explained that it's a paradox. I explained to that, and most Venezuelans, especially, let's say, the dumb ones, or just the basic ones, the normies, don't understand, is that if you want to have be an elite person regarding, of course, your particular occupation, you need a particular mindset. For instance, an athlete, you need a top-tier athlete, I don't know, LeBron James or Tom Brady or Roger Federer, I mean, or Tiger Woods, whatever, I mean, your favorite athlete it is. They need a particular mindset. Of course, these people are very, very talented, but also they have a particular mindset that the average NBA player or NBA or a particular golf player or whatever may be the case, they cannot perform because they have a mediocre mindset. They have the talent as well, just as Brady and Woods and LeBron, but they don't outperform LeBron because they are more conformist. Very good. And something that I try to explain my fellow Venezuelans, and I'm gonna do it in this video, is that you cannot have the top tier things in life if you have a mediocre mindset. Because, like I explained before, the Venezuelans are very good are very quote-unquote assertive, they're very good networking, but mostly they limit themselves in order to be good networkers for other average Venezuelans. Meanwhile, when you have to do the sacrifice to change that particular mindset in order to be going from average to top tier in something, because it's not only about like performance, because I mean the pushback that I got from Venezuelans is that of course you can be a top tier guy and also be in average, and it doesn't work like that, because something inside of you has to change, and most Venezuelans don't want to make that sacrifice, going from a mediocre mindset to a top tier mindset. And of course, afterwards, after going through a process, you are going to have the top tier results. I mean, financially, but also on your particular skills. So the issue usually comes with when I discuss these topics with Venezuelans. That's why I like to mingle mostly with, say, high-end Venezuelans regarding IQ and regarding culture and that kind of stuff, instead of the mediocre ones. And I have a bunch of issues on a weekly basis with mediocre Venezuelans. That's why I don't like to hang out with them, is regarding the mindset, because I explain and they deem me as, being weird, but I'm not being weird. That's that's the mindset of a top tier people. So if you want top tier results regarding your lifestyle, you need top tier results regarding of course, your mindset. and they don't want to do that sacrifice. Also, something that happens in Venezuela is that, and I explained this many times, I want to explain it yet again, is that, for instance, you see the United States, and you see the most successful people financially. You see people like Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Bezos and Elon Musk. I have already did a video about Elon. These people are standout people, regardless if you like them or not. They have a particular mindset, and that's how they create wealth. And until a certain degree, the average US citizen knows that in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to have a particular mindset. That's why you have a bunch of this mindset coach and do better and improve yourself, and this basically an industry in the States. And in Venezuela, meanwhile in Venezuela, the most financially successful people are not the ones that doesn't fit that profile. Mostly the most financially successful Venezuelans are rich kids, people that inherit a business, or the quote-unquote enchufados, or something that has a very particular ability. For instance, in Venezuela is very good in baseball, so the most paid athletes in Venezuela are baseball players, that they are very talented. However, when they speak, let's say they are not, they are not the smartest or the most sophisticated people. When they speak, they can barely speak Spanish. And I mean, it's a funny thing though. Basically, they look very particular, the Venezuelan player. By the way, I'm a big fan of baseball, so shout out to you if you're a baseball player watching this. Okay. So they don't understand that you have to make that sacrifice of having a top tier performance entrepreneur mindset and letting go the mediocre mindset. But at the same time, if you want to be liked by an average Venezuelan, you have to be mediocre with this particular, I'm talking with this particular mindset. That's it. I'm not saying my fellow Venezuelans are mediocre, because they are very hardworking people, most of them, and smart and entrepreneurial, but they have a very low ceiling because they don't want to change that mindset. They want to keep the mediocre mindset, being hardworking, and that's not how things work. And lastly, I have to mention that the average Venezuelan is very collectivist. And I'm not saying that the average Venezuelan is socialist or communist or anything like that. It's quite the opposite. 87% of Venezuelans hate socialism and communism. I put it on a graph a couple of months ago. Well, that's just one particular survey that I referred to just a few months ago. Anyways, I'm saying that the Venezuelans are collectivists because they don't like individualism. When you see a Venezuelan acting a little bit different from the rest of the society, that is deemed as weird in Venezuela, unless you become actually successful, and that's when the average Venezuelan is going to start, bow to you. But most likely you have to do it on another country. It's a funny thing. It's a running joke that we have in Venezuela. But there are many influencers, content creators, artists that they work very hard in Venezuela but don't make anything, and they move to another country, let's say like Mexico or Spain or Miami in the United States, and there is when they become more successful and more famous and that kind of stuff. And then is when they are praised by the average Venezuelan. But meanwhile, in the process, they bash and criticize a lot. They are criticized a lot by the average Venezuelan. It's a funny thing, though. So the average Venezuelan, when they see someone acting, outside of the quote-unquote norm, it's going to get a lot of pushback. I get a lot of pushback, by the way, on that particular regard. And by the way, I'm going to say this. If you are one of the Venezuelans that criticize my English level, I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. Fuck you. Honestly, go fuck yourself. Anyways, I'm saying this because in Venezuela, the English level is very low. 98% of Venezuelans cannot speak fluently English, so they have the nerve to criticize my English. So I have to do it. I'm sorry. In conclusion, the average Venezuelan, if you are an international, they're going to treat you very fine. It's not going to be an issue. They're going to cut you some slack, so they're going to give you a lot of leeway, so you're going to be treated just fine. But if you're a Venezuelan, and of course, you're watching this, only 9% of Venezuelans watch this, and my audience are Venezuelans. Yeah, Venezuelans are kind of an asshole every now and then. But on the bottom line, I like my fellow Venezuelans. They're very cool people, but, it's just you need a they need, they need a slap on the wrist once in a while in order to get things done.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.